Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the School of Science. My name is Luke and this is the post-match reaction for Sunderland versus Everton. Sunderland 1, Everton 1. Now you've probably already sussed out this is a fair bit later than what it should have been. This is more down to the fact that after that game was finished, I was just tired and I was fed up. I wasn't in a happy place and I feel like if I would have made a video then, it wouldn't have reflected truly on how I felt, if you get what I mean. If I was to just go straight off the bat, I've got a feeling my thoughts in the moment would have been a bit more negative than it really should have been. And thinking back on the game over the course of today, looking over the videos, looking over highlights, and listening to other people's opinions, I think now is probably the best time for me to release this video so that you guys can get a fair, reasonable, better response. I can't just go off pure emotion. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be, I just don't think it's going to be right if I went off just like pure emotion and went, oh, this is how I felt. This, and this. It wouldn't have been right. So, here we are. Right, so going into this game, Sunderland, how can I put this? Sunderland are a tough team at the moment. So going into this game, I wasn't expecting too much from Everton. I was expecting a bit of a fight because as we've seen throughout the season, in patches, we have moments where we look so threatening. So, the likes of Crystal Palace. First half, dreadful. Second half, after made a couple of changes, much better. Liverpool. First half an hour, not great at all. The preceding 60 after that, great. Really did well, really pressed them, really asked questions. Man City. First half, we actually looked fairly great. We were putting them to the hilt. We were asking questions of them. We had a few moments there. So there is points in every single one of these games where we have our little purple patch where we're doing so well. We look like a threatening team. And hell, even if we were up against European competition, I do think it would be a similar sort of situation where we would look like we could go far in a competition. But as many an Evertonian will know, our biggest crux at the moment, or I should say our biggest Achilles heel at the moment, is more the lack of goal scorers. Whether that be the strikers or whether that be just the lack of creativity coming from our midfield, we just seem to be lacking in that department at the moment, and it came quite apparent in the game yesterday. I was going to say the game today, but it was yesterday. We actually looked really good from the off though, let's be honest. First, probably not even 15 seconds, we looked like we were about to score. So pretty much what happened is straight from the off, ball went back to Pickford. Pickford punted it long. Tierno Barry managed to get his head on the ball, but instead of, like just a wild header, he actually managed to cushion it down, bring it down for James Garner. I had to think about that for a second. See, that's how long it's been. It's been nearly 24 hours since we almost scored, actually. Yeah, it has almost been 24 hours. It's currently 7:55 p.m. So yeah, so James Garner got the ball, just nudged it slightly to his left, and with his weaker foot, as a cracker goal from distance, and he came close. He came probably about an arm's width from scoring, in all fairness, when you take it into account. He was close. He was very close, and from there, we pretty much rattled Sunderland from the bat. I mean, I don't think they were expecting that. I think they were expecting a nice little slow burn where we sort of prodded at the defence, but no, we went in straight for blood. And it was good to see. It honestly was good to see. And I will say, I do think if that ball was ever so slightly to the right, I do think that would have been a very fast goal. I think that would have been our fastest ever away goal, if I'm not mistaken. I think the fastest one I can remember off the bat, if you count an FA Cup final, that would be about 25 seconds. And that was from Louis Saha in the FA Cup final 2009. I was there for that one. I remember quite a few people were not in the stadium at the time when that went in. So you can imagine a lot of people when they were getting saying, oh, what's got? Oh, Everton scored up. When did he score? You're joking. Sorry, I don't know where the hell I was going with that one. Right, so after that, it was Everton pretty much just kept the pressure on with moments from the likes of, we had our moments of creativity with the likes of Tierno Barry, Dewsbury Hall, and Ndiaye of all people. Hey, who would have thought in Ndiaye, No, I'm kidding. Iliman Ndiaye, he has been absolutely phenomenal for us. Not just last season, but this season as well. He is by far one of our best players. Well, he is the best player we've got in that squad at the moment. And that's even taking into account Jack Grealish. The skill and ability that he's got with those feet are just something else. I do hope the injury that he picked up in that game today is just cramp that he wants to really get dealt with and not aggravate any further into something worse. Because when I saw him hobbling off, I was very, very worried. Now, if this was the case, let's say just before the African Cup of Nations, however, you know, where if he gets injured in that sort of period where he's out for, say, 2-3 games, but he comes back while the AFCON's still going, that could be, you know, I don't want to wish an injury on someone, but that could be very beneficial for us, let's put it like that. But yeah, so in about the 15-minute mark, Iliman Ndiaye got himself a nice little goal. Now, that build up to the goal was really good. So Tierney Barry had the ball pretty much hard onto the right wing. And he was doing a nice little bit of fortunate footwork. He managed to basically get the ball loose to Iliman Ndiaye, who just went on an absolute run. Pretty much beat about 3 defenders at the edge of the box. Shuffled it onto his... it was his left foot, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. So he pretty much on the right wing. I had to think about that for a second. So pretty much right wing. He comes inside of the edge of the box. Beats 3 of their defenders. Creates the opening. Hits it and gets it out of reach of their keeper. And bloody good goal. That's honestly goal of the month so far. It is honestly goal of the month for November so far. So from that goal, we were on the front foot. We were really poking and prodding again. And a little later on down the line, Jack Grealish has a good crack at goal. Hit the upright very hard. You actually heard it whack the upright. And we were unfortunate not to get that second goal, because on top of that as well, there was another opportunity where Tierney Barry, pretty much the guy was about from me to the camera at the moment, so probably less than 2 meters away from goal. The ball comes across the face of goal and just has to get a nice clean tap onto it to get it into that net. And unfortunately, he does seem to scoop it up and above the bar. It was harder for him to miss than it was to score, but to be honest, we can't hold it against him. It's something that he's already beaten himself up for at the moment, so there's no point to the fans giving him much more grief. But yeah, so after about the 25-30 minute mark, Sunderland seems to just wake up a little bit. So they just started putting the pressure onto us. The likes of Granit Xhaka, Isidore, quite a few of their players. They've got very confusing named players. Who was the other one? Traore as well. He was certainly asking questions. One thing I note as well, know a lot of the Sunderland fans won't be happy, but we did seem to get a run of the green when it came to the referee. As you know, Everton are a very physical team. They are more than willing to drag you around in a literal sense. And let's be honest, football is a contact sport, so this is part and parcel of the game. If you're doing it in a fair and reasonable way, so let's say for argument's sake, you've got someone who's on the run and they're actually a little bit quicker than you. If you're able to get your hands on their shoulder and use that as like a sort of anchor point to get to that ball, then fair enough. That's something that you're expecting. When it comes to slide challenges as well, that's part and parcel of the sport. However, the likes of Tierney Barry, when he went in so late to get that yellow card, that's inexperience and just general silliness, in all honesty. And it was outright a bloody yellow card, that one. To be fair though, I've been looking back at some of the games. I mean, when he got his yellow card against Wolves in the Carabao Cup, that was him losing his patience, losing his temper and spitting the dummy a little bit. In this one, like I said, it was late challenges, inexperience, sort of getting the better of him. And it was a silly foul. Don't get me wrong, it didn't hurt the player, but it's still a silly foul. But yeah, so as I said, Everton did get the run of the green a little bit when it came to decisions. When it came to the 50-50s, we were more likely to get it over Sunderland. Now, I wouldn't say this is referee bias or anything like that. It's more just the referee on the day, sort of. He's going for his 50-50s and he's thinking that he's given a fair distribution. And unfortunately, it didn't appear like that to the home fans and to probably the home players as well. But yeah, so as I said, Sunderland players, they were certainly asking questions of us near the end of the first half. And got to give it to Michael Keane. He was one who was helping us get, how can I put this? I've got some notes above me behind me, as I've put it just here. So we've had them basically Sunderland surging forwards again and again and again, with Michael Keane being the saviour on more than one occasion. There was a situation where the ball was cleared off the line from memory. Few really good interceptions as well by him, getting the ball out. Tarkowski has a bit of a howler, in all honesty. I mean, especially when it came to the second half, as we know. And I'm not going to hold that against him. It was a very unfortunate one, as we know. Everton, when it comes to deflections and stuff like that, we just don't have any luck for that sort of stuff. It was a situation where a ball, any time a ball, if it was to be deflected anyway, let's say we were attacking and we hit the ball, there's a good chance the defender's bloody trailing foot is going to deflect it away from the goal rather than into the goal. Whereas vice versa, if it's one of our defenders, it's more likely going to deflect into the goal than away from the goal, as we know. But yeah, so first off, 1-0 up, looking good, hoping that we can actually keep that momentum going when it comes into the second half. However, second half comes in, and within about less than a minute, Sunderland draw level. Granit Xhaka, basically scrappy little ball in and around the Everton box, comes out to Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka gets a good hit on it, and Tarkowski holding his leg, somehow holding his leg just in the wrong position, manages to get the ball flicky, and instead of it going into the trajectory of Jordan Pickford, he's managed to make the ball basically flick to the side of him, and as a result, we concede the goal. And it was very unfortunate. I mean, there's been some situations there where the defender does actually intervene when they shouldn't really. I mean, I feel like that's one that Pickford should really be trying to communicate with his players. So let's say, for argument's sake, Pickford's ready, he's squared, he knows if that person hits it, he's got that all day long. He should be screaming at his defenders, leave it, leave it, leave it. And they should be taking the initiative, okay, do not touch that. Go away from it, back off from it, and let them have that crack. However, this didn't seem to be the case when it came to this ball. I do think, in all honesty, it's a split-second decision, and unfortunately, Tarkowski made the wrong decision. That being trying to block it a bit. But hey-ho, wins in the rain. Let's try and move on a little bit, shall we? So as the game progresses, I mean, Everton were winding it up a bit more. We were trying to, push on a little bit further. And around the 57-minute mark, David Moyes makes a very silly error, in my personal opinion, by bringing Tierney Barry off and putting Beto on. Because in my opinion, Barry needs more minutes in these matches. Bringing Beto on at this point in time, that is going to knock Barry's confidence a lot, because he's thinking right now, okay, I've had a yellow card, I've missed an open goal. He's bringing me off because I'm no good. Instead of, okay, we need to try and change up the attacking options. He's not thinking of, he's trying to change up the attacking options. Okay, he's thinking, I am no good. He is thinking in a negative mindset, and you can see that as he was walking off. His head was shaking. When he saw Beto coming onto that line, you saw his eyes see him, and he's like, oh, for crying out loud, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this now, David? And in all honesty, I was saying the exact same thing. I was sitting here looking at this game, and I was thinking, what in God's name are you doing? Tierney Barry is actually not having a bad game at the moment. He is giving their defence a bit of a headache right now. He's getting between the lines. He's thriving off Illiman and Dye, Drewsby Hall and Grealish trying to provide for him. He's making their defence make mistakes. And even if he doesn't score in this game, that goal that Illiman and Dye scored, that would have been a massive confidence boost to Tierney Barry, because he has been the crucial point for Illiman and Dye to get that goal. And as a result, seeing Beto on that sideline has knocked him for that. He's basically taken all that confidence that he's built up from the Illiman and Dye goal and just wiped it away. Now, there's another point to this as well. When you bring Beto on, you need to bring Charlie Alcaraz on, because Charlie Alcaraz seems to gel a lot better than any other number 10 that we've got in this squad with Beto. He works so much better. He works better with it than Illiman and Dye and Jack Grealish do with Beto. That's what I've seen from last season and even this season. So why bring Beto on if you're not going to bring Charlie on until, I think it was like the 80-odd minute? That was a bad mistake in my personal opinion. And to be honest, he maybe even more as time went on. So when he went for this starting lineup, it wasn't the best lineup in all honesty. I am a massive advocate for James Garner to be going into the right back position. You bring either Tarkowski or Michael Keane out and put Jake O'Brien in the middle, because he's different to both of them in the sense that he's more comfortable with the ball of his feet when it comes to a defensive contribution, because he can then push it outwards like that. He's very similar to how Jared Branthwaite operates. So having one of those two out and replacing it with Jake O'Brien, I do think would be a massive upgrade in all honesty. I mean, hell, you could even mess around with the formations and go instead of doing, say, you know, the 4-2-3-1 again. You could do a 3-3-3-1. So you've got, say, Vitaly Mykolenko, Michael Keane, and James Tarkowski. Or better yet, you have Jake O'Brien, Michael Keane, and Tarkowski, or even have Jake O'Brien in the middle, separating the two of them. So you then have the two, basically, your two muscle who are going to just knock the ball upfield time and time again with your control in the middle. And then I'm having to think about this on the fly, so apologies. So there's your back three, the defensive or, well, midfield three in a way, with your wing backs. So you'd have your number six, your true number six there, and then your wing backs, those being Mykolenko and James Garner, with your middleman being either Idrissa Gana-Gueye, Merlin Roll, or Timothy Burnham. And then your other three moving up there, obviously, it's going to be Jack Grealish, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, or Charlie Alcaraz with Iliman and Dye, and then your top focal point being Beto or Barry. If you do something like that, I think you're going to have a lot more success, in my personal opinion, than the way we're doing it at the moment, just for the fact that you've got your three centre-backs. They are holding the fort a lot better than just Michael Keane and Tarkowski. Just the inclusion of Jake O'Brien in that situation where he's not having to leg it upfield like an absolute madman, because what you got to take into account, he is a quick guy. He's not absolutely rapid. We're not talking bloody prime PNR or, who's a good one thing up? Richarlison? Was he a guy? Would you say Richarlison had pace, or was it more of a skill? I've got a perfect example. Alex Iwobi. He's not an Alex Iwobi-esque player when it comes to his pace. He's got a bit of a up and go about him, but he's more of a Toyota Corolla than a Ferrari F50. That's the best one I can think of. How long have we been going at this? We're going at this 17 minutes now, and I haven't even gotten to the point yet. Right, so Beto comes on, and he makes absolutely zero impact. He's doing his usual thing where he lets the defender basically hug him. When the ball comes to his feet, he can't do jack because he's got a defender pretty much holding him in place. And rather than adapting his play around this and saying, okay, when I stand squared on, you're going to hug me. Okay, how about if I do this? And then when the ball comes then, he rolls his shoulder, opens it up and goes. Like what every other bloody good striker does. Romelu Lukaku was notorious for this. There's millions of videos of him on YouTube where when he scores, even for Everton, when we was with us, this is one of his key ways of scoring. Basically, what he would do is he'd be close to the back line. He would be standing square on. Don't get me wrong, he'd be square on initially. But then as he sees his teammates coming up the field and getting ready to do, get the pass and get the open play going, he would go from this. He would basically back, side on. He would go into that side on. And then once that ball comes, he's got a defender at his back here. He can then bring him over with his shoulder and go. He doesn't do that. He stands like this square. And then when the ball comes, he's expecting it to straight to feet, to turn and then go. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. I am not a bloody striking coach, but even I can see this. And I'm fucking blind. They aren't broke, are they? No, they're not broke. No, in all honesty, even I do this when it comes to 5, 6, or even 7 aside when I'm playing football. What I will do is I will make an absolute nuisance of myself. I either operate on the wings or I will operate as a central striker, and I just become a nuisance for the defensive line. I basically wander in and around when I'm a centre striker. When I'm operating on the wings, obviously that's going to be a different situation. I will bring myself back to around the middle of the park and try and create openings from there, whether it means I get the ball wide, come in, or whether I just leg it up long. I've got many ways of going about it, but Beto, obviously, this guy is a literal one-trick pony. He will just stand square on. And even if you were to turn around to go, oh, but he's got his height and everything like that. Sound, when was the last time he scored a header goal? I can't remember the last time he scored a header goal, even this season. The only goal he has scored this season was a tap-in a way. Or was it? Ooh, I'm going to have a think about that one. I can't remember now. That Wolves goal, oof. I remember Drewsbury Hall's one. I remember Illiman and Dyer's one. I can't remember Beto's one though. Was that a header actually? I think that was a header. Yeah, it was actually, probably. Who knows? You guys probably know because you can probably have a look at it. I can't though. So yeah, Beto, massive mistake bringing him on in my personal opinion. I would have rather have just seen Barry play the full 90. But yeah, so as the game ticks on, Illiman and Dye goes down. He basically calls the medics over. They do what they do, try and do the magic sponge and all that sort of stuff. You see him taking his usual drink. And I think, as Moyes even says in his post-match, he thinks Illiman and Dye's picked up a bit of cramp. And rather than aggravating it and make it into something a lot worse, they decided the best option was to bring him off and replace him with a right winger. Only joking. They replaced him with fucking Dwight McNeil. Dwight McFucking-Neil. Now, as I've heard from the other Everton people, the reason why they went with Dwight McNeil is 1, experience, and 2, chances are he did well in training. Now, I'm no coach. I've made this very clear, and I will make this very clear until the last ever video I make on this channel. I'm not a coach, but what you see on the training ground versus what you see on the pitch is 2 very different beasts. Some of the Everton legends, from what I remember, I believe even Graham Sharp said it as well, he trained shite. Apparently, when he did training, he was not great when it came to the training, but when he was on the pitch, he was a whole different beast. And I even remember during the warm-ups, he apparently made a comment saying apparently during warm-ups, he would try his best to score as few goals in the warm-ups to the game because he felt like he had only so many goals per game. So when he's doing them in the warm-ups, he's using up his goals in an actual match game scenario. I love the madness behind it, but you can understand. Footballers are extremely superstitious. But yeah, so when it comes to Dwight McNeil, he operates best on the left wing, does all right as number 10, does terribly as a right winger because he is so left-footed. All he can do, I mean, even controlling the ball. Watching that game yesterday, anytime that ball went to his right foot, even when it was trying to control it, it goes askew. So I don't know what the hell is wrong with that foot, but mate, no. So I kid you not. His left foot is amazing, but his right foot is basically just there for, it's cosmetic. It's a cosmetic piece. It offers nothing to him. So putting him on the right wing was terrible because all he can do then is go inside. And any footballer worth their weight in salt will look and just go, right, we know you're left-footed, mate. So the second you go inside, I'm just going to cut you out and I'm going with the ball. A bloody Sunday League player would suss that out after two transitions with Dwight McNeil. They think, oh, right, so we can only go inside. Okay, sounds, I'll do this. So why would you put him on the right fucking wing? Put him as number 10 if needs be. But then again, even in them situations, I mean, Dewsbury Hall's not number 10, he's number 8. He's your standard run-of-the-mill, box-to-box midfielder. There's no flashiness or, you know, skillfulness about him in the sense of like what you've seen with Illiman and Dye. There's none of that with Dewsbury Hall. He's like a fast brick wall in motion. That's probably the best way to put it. So having him as a number 10 is not all too great. I do think Charlie Alcaraz is the best option there. I mean, as this game progressed, the decisions that were getting made were getting a bit weirder and weirder. I think the only 2 right decisions that were made were at the very end, where Jacob Bryan came off, James Garner went into the right back position, Timothy Burnham came on, and Charlie Alcaraz came on. I don't know who Charlie replaced. I think he did actually replace Dewsbury Hall, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that one. But I think it was Dewsbury Hall. And even then, that actually shows a bit more promise because we were pushing towards the goal and we had a point there. It was just after the 90th minute We had a break on goal. Charlie Alcaraz and Idrissa Gay were the two highest upfields. Why the hell Better was nowhere near there, and why he wasn't sprinting like an absolute madman to catch up to them to get involved in the action is so beyond my understandings that I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, so Charlie Alcaraz had the ball, pretty much pushing upfield, and he had an option to just let it loose. We know Charlie can actually score from a little bit of distance. He's actually got a decent foot on him. So why he didn't either pass it through to Idrissa Gay, who was on his own, or have a go at it himself. Instead, he sort of messed around with the ball, let Sunderland reinforce, and a couple of our guys came up, and everything came to naught. So, what do we have to say about that entire game? Well, personally, I do think Moyes is making so many weird mistakes when it comes to this squad. I can understand his tactics, but the way he's going about these things is so wrong that he's going to get the fans really, really eyed up against him. He's going to slowly have these fans going toxic against him, and I don't want that. He was a really good manager for us in the first stint. I don't want to see him go down the same track as the likes of Frank Lampard, Ronald Koeman, Rafael Benitez, Sean Dyche. Can't even say Sam Allardyce because Sam Allardyce actually got us in the 8th. Who's another one? Roberto Martinez wasn't too bad. We kind of got rid of him a little bit too soon. Marco Silva, same. Yeah, I think the latter ones that I mentioned there. He's going to end up going into the same sort of lineup as that ilk. And the thing is as well, the freaking group don't suffer fools. They will throw you out faster than you can realise. When Roma had a manager come in, and he only lasted 12 games. I remember this one, I looked into it. If I'm not mistaken, the guy was a former club legend as well. And he only lasted 12 games. And now, bear in mind, he didn't have a bad run. He actually won a few of them. But they got rid of him because he wasn't getting the results they wanted. So we know the Freakins will cut you off if you're not doing well. They're very, very ruthless with that. So what will probably end up happening, and bear in mind, even though they did the exact same thing with Jose Mourinho, they are still on reasonably good terms with him. They might turn around and say, you know what, Moyes, bye-bye. Mourinho, come on, let's see what you can do. And I don't want that, personally. Jose Mourinho, don't get me wrong, one of the best managers of his time and all that, but he is such a walking ego that if you do not go with his style of play or you do not agree with him 110%, you're not getting in that squad. So any free spirits in our squad would be very, very quickly told to bugger off. But yeah, at the end of the day, the next game is Fulham. We got a draw here, which is good. We didn't lose, so we still got a point. And I do think before that game, if someone had said to me, look, Luke, you're going to get a point here, I would have taken it. I would honestly have taken that. Because Sunderland's, they're unbeaten at the Stadium of Light this season. They are doing so well. They put Chelsea up to the sword and they ended up beating them. So I want to take that one and think, okay, we had a few moments there. The decisions were very questionable, but we walked away with a point. We should have won. Don't get me wrong, we should have won. Because that was not the best Sunderland side on the night. That certainly wasn't. Not from the previous games I've seen them play. But in any case, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'd also like to say a big thank you to these guys down here. If you want to be like these guys and become a part of the Cup of Coffee tier, you know, I've said this many a times. All you have to do is click join and it's less than £1 a month and you help me do things like this, like this, like this. This gimbal is an absolute godsend. Now, if you're wondering why the thing's like a weird big black puck, it's a MagSafe piece, and it is actually better than the original clip that it came with. I do like this very much. It is brilliant. MatchSafe vlogs are amazing at this, I promise you. So next game's Fulham at home, MatchSafe vlog, and it goes through that. And we're going to probably be approaching this one from a different angle as well. So instead of coming from the city centre, I'll be probably coming from my home. So I live up north. I live basically just north of the city centre. I'm not telling you exactly where I live, but let's put it like this. It's basically, how can I put this? I am I am my version of walking distance from Marine FC. Let's put it like that. So I'll be walking from mine down, go to the game and walk back. And it's a nice straight path, so I get to actually have a decent little natter for you, and I'm not having to sort of look around me all the time, making sure I'm not making the wrong turn and everything like that. But yeah. So as I said, being a part of the Cup of Coffee tier, you do help the channel massively. Basically, you help me with hardware, software, you know, being able to do things like through my subscriptions. So the likes of me Canva, me Adobe, Premiere Pro, those things cost me money and everything like that. So you guys contributing to the channel helps me keep these things running so I can actually provide you guys with amazing things like my banners with all my editing, with my transitions, all the things back here. Because of you guys, I've been able to get good connections with the likes of Rob at Forever Everton. And just things like that. You've helped me so much doing all that sort of stuff. So if you want to be part of the Cup of Coffee Tea and help grow this channel with me alongside me, that is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. If not, no worries. You know what to do. Just like. If you want to suggest anything, comment section below. If you want to share this, please share it. If you're new to the channel, hello, how's it going? Why don't you hit that subscribe button if you liked it? I know you want to. It's free. But in any case, guys, I would like to thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of the week. Up the fucking Toffees, and peace.